stay clean. Looked out for someone who can help us to bring the subject matter home, having a conversation around aligning human resources strategies and organizational planning with evolving business climate. Today, any other person that will be anchoring this will be helping us to examine how aligning human resources strategies with organizational planning can enable businesses to adapt to technological change, market volatility, workforce shift, enhancing agility, resilience, and competitive advantage in an evolving business environment. Today, please join me as I'm going to be reading his short profile. I know he won't want me to, but it's required that I read his profile. So please, just a minute. Yeah. Okay. A short profile of Mr. Adeosun, a top-performing, accomplished, and skilled human resources executive and researcher with over 23 years of experience across high-profile industries, including power, oil and gas, telecommunication, fintech, broadcasting, ICT, real estate, advertising, academia, consulting, and volunteer work. He runs a YouTube channel called Oluyemi Adeosun with over 7,000 followers, which focuses on HR domain knowledge. He's also the pioneer of the HR Mentorship, a group of over 7,000 HR professionals. He's an advocate, it's an awardee of the Faith Institute Prestigious Senior Research Fellow 2024 to 2026 and a certified career coach. He is a full member of the CIPM and a 3-term elected governing council member, a senior professional human resource international, global practitioner human resources, SPHR and GPHR. Is an holder of PhD of economics from the University of Lagos, alumni of Lagos Business School, and is currently the chief economist on Business Day Media. He is on various reputable business school and training institute. He has served in several roles, and with great joy in my heart this afternoon, I would like to introduce Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun. Please join me to welcome him. Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to stand on existing protocols, but permit me to appreciate my chapter chair and the team of executives, and of course, by extension, all the past chairmen and women who have been supporting and leading the CIPM Ikeja chapter. I'm happy to say that. And so I must also honor all our fellows, all our senior leaders in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. Happy New Year. In the time allotted, we'll be looking very quickly at how to align human resource strategy and organizational planning with an evolving or within an evolving business climate. At the end of today's session, very quickly, we'll be able to interpret business climate, using a tool we're all familiar with, PESTLE, and then we'll be able to translate business strategy into HR priorities using another tool called SWOT. We'll be able to apply HRPP model for strategic alignment, and then we use another tool called or framework, HADE, to close capabilities and execution gaps. And then we'll be able to know what actions, alignments we can take. Ladies and gentlemen, and just in case any of us is just getting familiar or aware of any of these concepts, not to worry, we will explain them in a simple manner that you will not have any issues or challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, about now, many organizations have closed out on their 2026 budget. Many organizations have closed out on the strategy for 2026. Many organizations have also most likely by now or about now cascaded the 2026 business objectives to the departments and individuals. I am also aware that not all organizations necessarily run from January to December. However, irrespective of your financial year, the government, for example, and most national governments would release their budget for the financial year, maybe like January. And so even if you don't run this cycle, most likely some of the activities of the budget of the federal government or the national government and state governments may affect some of your operations, and you may need to calibrate. HR is not alone. We interface with other departments, finance, marketing, operations, IT, and so on and so forth, productions, depending on the nature of our organization. And we must align. Okay, we align with the vision, the mission, and then the various businesses, functions, and we can provide solution. Now, the business climate is always changing. So when we say it has changed, everything that was taken for a while, and then it changed suddenly. No. Over time, business climate evolves every year, every month, every quarter, every other season. I'm sure a lot of us on this call were aware of where a president of a particular country went to another country and picked up the president. These are the kind of things that can lead to change any day, anytime. All right. So the activities, actions of different governments all over the world can affect your own country's business climate. Many of us here are working for organizations that Europe, as the case may be. So volatility is not just a phase, it's the typical operating environment. All right. Organizations are navigating different economic shocks, inflation, foreign exchange pressure. And when we say economic dynamics, the going up and down. So it doesn't matter whether inflation is coming down or going up, or the forex rate is going up or down. All of these things have their own implication. Depending on the sector you operate, ladies and gentlemen, you may also be experiencing regulatory uncertainty. This will apply to all of us. Talent mobility, to a large extent, skill gap, digital acceleration, and so on and so forth. So HR strategy is very important. because as the business strategy is shifting, the HR strategy must also be adapting, evolving to be able to accommodate. Now, once the business climate is shifting, most likely the business strategy may be modified, and HR must move fast and move first, not last. This is very important. Now, please stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. This is just very quickly a snapshot of a few economic indicators as of today. You know, when we talk about the PES2 framework, P stands for political, E stands for economic. So these are just economic drivers. You can see as at the last data set, inflation was 14 to 15%. That was November last year. It is projected to drop further to 12 to 13% later in the year. But let me also say this, we are intellectuals and should be aware of this. So it's one thing, in quotes, for the inflation data to drop. Is another thing for the employees who go to the market to feel that drop. What do I mean?
The
last 2 years, a lot of things have gone up. A lot of things have gone up. And then now, things are now going down. So
apologies, our facilitator. Admin, can you please help us mute everybody? Only those who are to, so that we can avoid this distraction, please.
Okay, this has been done. Thank you for your help, sir. So most individuals, when they are thinking about inflation, they will say 2 years ago, how much are we buying something? How much are we buying it now? But when you see inflation statistics, typically it's month on month. So look at maybe October to November. So things are coming down, but because things have gone way up, don't forget that 2 years ago we had inflation as high as 34%. All right. Just use data and throw the data at employees, for example, that manage a range. Exchange rates has stabilized around 1,400, 1,500, irrespective of whether you are buying it in the bank or in the parallel market. The lending rate is still relatively high. MPC is still 27%. Oil output, we are mentioning this because for many of us that we operate in Nigeria, the mainstay, one of the mainstay of our economy is the oil. So our production last year hovered around 1.4 to 1.5 million barrels per day. It is estimated to appreciate to 1.8 million barrels, all things being equal. That's production. Price per barrel from the budget, $64.5 per barrel has been budgeted by the federal government. But so from information and feelers, it may drop to as low as $50 per barrel, depending on the dynamics. Again, a lot of other factors. The foreign exchange in Nigeria is appreciating. It has appreciated significantly in the last 2 years. And so on and so forth. But the last point here is on household welfare. Household means the people, the citizens, the employees, and their dependents. They say while the macroeconomic indicators may be appreciating, they can't really feel it. Okay, they can't really feel it. And that is really a reality. Just to mention that, for example, sadly, in the last 2 years, for example, the poverty rate in Nigeria has gone up. We have information from World Bank and so on and so forth. And each time you hear things like poverty rate has gone up, don't forget that even if your employees are not poor, your employees will most likely have dependents that are poor. What will happen? The poor dependents will be placing a demand on the working dependents. So we need to have an appreciation of this context and just don't live in silo or a bubble. So I just decided to quickly put this out there and to balance the narration so that when you are asking for something from management, you put all of this into things our CEOs watch out for. These are the things our accountants, CFOs, they watch out for. And these are some of the words, the context. So let me quickly take a breather here. I know some people, once you show them data, they need to rest, and it's okay. I used to be like that. Now, I would like you to drop your answer to this question in the chat box very quickly. Just write option A for the right answer. Okay. So the question is, how are organizations' current business priorities? Okay. How aligned is your HR strategy with your organization's current business priorities? Of course, you can't choose option A, so your answer can only be B, C, D, E. Okay. All right. This is just to check. Yeah. I'm also reading some of our comments from our members. Thank you so much, Mr. Obaseki. I see your comments. Thank you so much for sharing. Keep dropping our comments and thoughts. Of course, we'll also take comments and contributions after this session. Thank you. Let's keep them coming. I can see. Thank you so much. Some of our colleagues there chose option B, that they are fully aligned. Fantastic. Some of our colleagues here also choose option C, partially aligned. Fantastic. Thank you again. There's no right or wrong answer. Let me also say that even if your strategy is fully aligned today, in 3 months' time, something may shift, something may change. So the alignment is not a permanent situation. But whatever you have chosen, thank you so much. Now, again, when I do sessions like this, I try to define key terms. I know I have fellows in the house, but I also know I have entry-level colleagues, and I try to meet the needs of all the stakeholders. So please don't get bored, stay with me. So HR strategy, very simple, straight and direct, is how people, skills, culture, and capabilities are what? Intentionally deployed to deliver business goals. Now look at this. For HR, we use the word people, we use the word skills, we use the word culture, we use the word capabilities. All of these things form HR plus more. Also, look at this word, intentionally. So it's not chance, it's not luck. It means you are deliberate. And what are we trying to deliver? Business goals. So which means you must have an appreciation, understanding, awareness of the business strategy before you can align your people strategy. Then organizational planning include forward-looking decisions, for example, on structure, on growth, on investment, and risk. So all the entire gamut of the HR value chain are things that fall within organizational planning, or are things you can use to support, enhance organizational planning. Now, the business climate, all right, includes external forces shaping the organization's survival, okay, and competitiveness. It could be political, economic, social, technological environment, and legal forces. Note, all of these forces may be working independently or severally. So it can be working independently and also concurrently at the same time. And this is why this is not a very easy task for anybody, even for the best of us. All right. So we now need to be able to align all of this. All right. So that our HR interventions, decisions, deliverables are not just based on historicals, are not just based on the past routines. Okay, we are now looking at current reality, or this is the PESTLE framework. All right, and I encourage one person on this call, please, it's very important. As HR, as much as possible, always look for the appropriate or applicable framework anytime you are doing something. Or create a framework. You can also create a framework. The reason is frameworks help us to be what? Logical. And when you are engaging with anybody, once you can say, this is the framework, one, you earn their respect, and then they see that you are holistic and comprehensive. Of course, if there's anything to contribute, they can add in no particular order. All right. So anything you are doing in 2026, check it against this framework, for example. What are the political implications? Some of these things may across multiple parameters, or inflation, forex, cost of labor, things like salary, and so on and so forth. We looked at a lot of them just before now. Social. So social will include demographic shifts, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, baby boomers, remote work, all those kind of things are social. If, for example, you are maybe in some northern part of Nigeria, where maybe women may not be encouraged to work, those kind of things form part of the socials, the cultural elements of the society where your business is domiciled or cuts across. Technology, AI, automation, robotics, machine learning, and so on and so forth. And every day, increasingly, all of us, we are employing more tools and so on and so forth. Then the environment, ESG is a big thing now more than ever before. Environment, sustainability, governance, and so on and so forth. Today, you will hear things like, oh, don't print paper if you don't have to, go paperless, grain, don't use, in quotes, diesel or generator, if you can use solar, alternative options. Those kind of things are real, especially if you are an international business, a business that deals with investors and so on and so forth. They will be placing a demand on you to show your effort at becoming more green, more ecologically friendly. Legal, of course, are labor laws, pension, and so on and so forth. So, at the same time, PES2 is affecting you. In some contexts, you may be affected principally by maybe just the economic or the environment. But at the minimum, one way or the other, all of this will affect you. All right, so let's look at a few examples as we move ahead very quickly. All right, so in banking, for example, digital skills may be replacing branch-heavy roles. If you've been paying attention a little to the news, you will have seen how some banks are not even closing some branches. You will see how they are shutting down due to the POS, online banking, and so on and so forth. Even those that are not shutting down, they are not doing branch expansion like before, because there are alternative ways of banking. If you're in manufacturing, okay, for those of us in manufacturing, cost pressure is always there. What do we mean by cost pressure? All the raw materials, it doesn't matter whether you're sourcing locally or internationally, all of us rely on electricity, diesel, and so on and so forth. So what can you do? Okay, what can you do? For example, as HR, can you encourage multitasking, multi-skilling? Can you move towards lean workforce, and so on and so forth? Oil and gas, ESG compliance is big and heavy. New capability requirements are turning up every day. If you're in a startup or a tech environment, these things like speed, agility, talent retention challenges are increasingly become more relevant. I know some of us are in public sector. Ikeja Secretariat is close to us. Policy reforms, different level at state and at federal level. Of course, there's also the need for reskilling and redeployment. Increasingly, the government too is going digital to a large extent. So every PES2, by now you know what PES2 means, political, economic, social, technology, environment, and legal. Every PES2 shift creates an HR response. There must be something, or there can be something you can do, you can tweak, you can modify, you can update, you can cascade, as the case may be. Moving on very quickly, all right? So we are using SWOT now. SWOT helps us to translate some of these external pressures into HR actions, if you want. You want to look at your strengths as an organization today. What's your leadership depth? What's your employer brand? What are the internal capabilities? Also, with respect to weakness, okay, what are the skill gaps? Do you have succession risks? Do you have structures that are rigid, not flexible, not nimble, not agile? what are the opportunities? Talent arbitrage, new markets, digital tools. What are the threats? Attrition, regulatory penalties, workforce disengagement, and so on and so forth. Every time, if you have not done SWOT this year, do it again. It's something you can do in 1 hour or 2 hours. Do it with your team members. You can even invite non-HR people to join the conversation so that they can give you a 360 feedback and review. Now, HR must be willing to intervene across the HR value chain. For lack of time, we would definitely not be able to look at all the value chains. But for workforce planning, for example, which is fundamental, critical, the strategic question you must ask is, do we have the right skills for tomorrow? And by tomorrow, we also mean today. All right. John Legend said, the future started yesterday, we are already late. Talent acquisition, are we hiring for strategy or habit? I'll ask that question once more time to reiterate it. Are we hiring for strategy or we are hiring for habit? Habit means past. Habit means your structure of 2-3 years ago. Strategy means you have put PEST tool into consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, with respect to learning and development, are skills future-proof? What kind of trainings did you give our employees in 2025? And what are we giving them in 2026? I was talking to some of my friends who are, we call them comrades, even though I call myself a comrade. So, the people who call comrades, union members, leaders. And I told them, I said, if I were a unionist, not only will I ask for better compensation, salary review, of a necessity, I will include trainings in what I asked for. Not just any kind of training, future-proof training. Trainings that will make us, for example, on AI, digital tools, so that as the nature of work is evolving, my workers will remain employable. Ladies and gentlemen, performance management, are we rewarding the right outcomes? Are we rewarding activity or outcomes? Rewards and compensations, our pay structures, are they sustainable? Some of us may not like to hear this, but some of our organizations, we are top heavy. You may need to relook it. Some of us, we are mid-level. We may need to relook the distribution of our pay packages. Some of us are carrying structures that we were comfortable with 5 years ago. It's no longer sustainable based on revenue. Employee relations, which is the last HR value chain we'll look at here, is trust strengthening or eroding? And this is from all the stakeholders, management to employee, employee to management, management to shareholders, or board to regulator to management, and so on and so forth. So these are very important things. Because again, I'm conscious of the fact that CIPM Ikeja, we are very experienced people, we are very professional people. I said, as much as possible, let's look at a few case studies so that we can contribute and have better insight. I'm smiling because of the comments of Comrade Elvis Obaseki. Permit me to call you Comrade in this instance since you are talking about unionism. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the chat box too and drop your comments. I'll read them. So the first case we are looking at, very simple, short case. A Nigerian bank launched a digital strategy, but listen to this. They retained legacy role structure. Can you relate to that? So the Nigerian bank is an existing bank. I don't want to mention bank, but you know the banks I'm talking about. While the digital strategy was beautiful, what was their undoing? They retained legacy role. Now, let me mention some new banks. I won't mention the old banks. Check in no particular order, and I'm not marketing or advertising. This is an academic context. So check the OPAs, the money points. You will notice that the way they operate is not completely the same as any of our legacy banks. And I know many of us, if not all of us on this call, can testify that many of the legacy banks have set up one form of digital bank or the other. How come those digital banks are not prospering, succeeding, thriving like the Opay's, Moniepoints? Part of the reason is the old banks want to run the digital bank with the old bank structure. It can't work. The structure that gave you success as a legacy bank may not give you success as a what? Digital bank. You are in the same industry, but there is differentiation in the success, and you have to pay attention to the peculiarity. So you have an HR misalignment here. You know, no early workforce design, reskilling, or incentive realignment. A key lesson here: digital strategy without HR alignment delays what? Value. Very, very important. Okay, so we'll use a few case studies just to drive home some of this contribution. My elected council member, ECM, Adeyemi Ajayi, said something I'd like to read. He said, when you put old wine in new bottle, you know what to expect. The bottle will most likely burst. Okay, thank you, Paul. I'm available and accessible to you anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, moving ahead. So in the banking and financial service, so we also look at a few sectors, including public sector, to drive home. So it doesn't matter your background or where you've joined us today. I want you to get something for this session. So banking today is experiencing digital disruption, regulatory scrutiny, you know, the central banks of this world, you know, cost to income pressure, you know. So HR alignment focus will include digital and data skills, compliance capabilities, performance-linked rewards, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not by any means exhaustive. I'll move on to another case study. You know, so we've used a tech case study or a fintech case study. Let's use an FMCG example. Okay, FMCGs today, and many of our colleagues in Ikeja who work in FMCGs can testify. We are faced with what? Rising costs and supply chain disruption. Let me say this again, my respected, distinguished HR colleagues. The first HR problem is the business problem. We now try to use HR solution to what? To correct, address, or solve or sort the business problem. So FMCGs, some are facing what? Rising costs. Well, not some, all of them. Supply chain disruption. Okay. HR partnered early to introduce multi-skilling, redesign shifts, align performance to productivity. In this context, the outcome led to cost containment and improved what? Outcome. Again, what are some of the climates around FMCG and manufacturing? Just for the benefit of one person on this call, FMCG means fast-moving consumer goods. Fast-moving consumer goods. I said that just for one person. You know, in CIPM, we carry all our stakeholders along, even if they are 1 out of 260. Now, some of the business climates, of course, inflation affects manufacturing a lot. Cost pressure, supply chain disruption, productivity demands. Okay, HR alignment, multi-skilling, lean workforce models where possible, safety and efficiency. The third case study, very quickly. A fast-growing Nigerian tech firm scaled revenue, but please pay attention to this. They scaled the revenue. I'm sure you know, sometimes we call some of them cowboys. All of this fintech, you know, they're always raising funds, Series A, Series B, Series C, foreign funds. What happened here? They scaled in revenue, but they ignored leadership pipeline. What was the result? Burnout, attrition, stalled growth, HR intervention, succession planning, leadership capabilities, you know. All right, so business climates around startups include speed to market, talent competition, scaling challenges, and so on and so forth. And HR alignment focus around agile workforce structures, retention strategies, leadership pipeline, and speed. Looking at case study 4, you know, and this with respect to an energy firm, they faced ESG compliance pressure. ESG again means environment, sustainability, and governance. All right. So HR led sustainable skills audits and workforce transition planning. Outcome, regulatory readiness and reputational protection. You will see that for every business problem, there are corresponding HR actions. except you don't reflect enough, except you don't engage enough. Never hear a business problem and as HR look away and think this doesn't concern me. There is no HR problem that does not concern you. Absolutely not. Okay, in oil and gas again, cost optimization is key. Energy transition is key. Just for the benefit of 3 or 4 people, what do we mean by energy transition? For example, part of energy transition now includes this call for alternative renewable energy. So if you are in oil and gas, for example, and more people are doing maybe solar, what is your, as HR, what are you doing? You will see, let me mention name, you will see, you know, in the past, Total, I'm sure you know Total, if you are watching Nations Cup, you'll have been seeing the adverts. Total is now called Total Energies. Before, that was not their name. It was not Total Energies. I think it was maybe Total Oil and Gas or Total Petroleum, I can't remember. But they modified it to now mean energies because of what? Energy transition. All right, so these are very important. Sustainability skills, you must think about it. Risk and compliance capabilities, you must think about it. Workforce transition planning, you know, you must also think about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm enjoying all the conversations in the chat. I'll come back to some of them. Please keep them coming because it's adding, you know, this is a knowledge sharing session. I'm just facilitating this session. All of us will add our 2 cents and then we'll all become $1 million rich. Ladies and gentlemen, public sector, an agency undergoing reform focused only on the structure. What did the HR director do? Introduce reskilling and performance alignment. Results, improved service what? Delivery perception. You know, they say that perception is as important as what? Reality. A lot of government agencies today are undergoing one form of reform or the other. The demands for efficiency is increasing. You know, you will say IGR, in other words, internal generated revenue, you say go and generate your own funds because the state government or the federal government will never able to meet all your financial needs. You know, and all these single treasury accounts, even the one you've made, if you're not careful, you may not have full access to it or timely access. So reskilling is key. Performance management reform, change leadership. Look, I won't expect any CIPM member who is HR in any government institution to encourage their staff to have the mentality that Ogata wala rapi, or to have the mentality that in other words, we don't sweat when we do government work. The job of HR is to drive what? Productivity. And when people are not productive, it is not the government or citizens that is losing. It is those individuals, because there will be opportunities for better, bigger roles tomorrow. They won't even have the confidence to apply or the competence to claim the job. Thankfully, I know a lot of people in public sector who are extremely prolific and very sound. I know a few who are redundant, but I know a lot who are good. Of course, all CIPM members fall in that category, or those who are very what? Very good, very intentional. So you will see that based on the topic we are looking at, it's important that we don't remain traditional, old school. We don't remain transactional. We are not just policy driven. We are not just reactive, because it can't work. We must be embedded in the business. Imagine, you know, today we say HRBP, HR business partner. The way the CEO will almost always call the CFO before taking any decision, let the CEO be calling you too. Are we together, people? All right, you have to be data driven. That's why I use data at the beginning of this conversation, so that I'm not telling you what I like or what I feel like. You know, we have to take actions based on data. We must align with what? Strategy. So our core mandate is, how do we translate business strategy into what? People capabilities. So what do we do differently? Sit in business planning conversations early. And by early, I mean from the beginning. Don't let Yawa gas before they will now call you. At conceptualization level, when they are thinking about it, let them call you into that thought process, so that you too can be reflecting with them. You can be chiming in very early. You can ponder, you can look at your toolkit and see how you can intervene very early. You know, you want to understand revenue drivers. You know, how nobody on this call must not have a full appreciation and understanding of how your company is making money. All they miss, is it products? Is it service? You may have 20 products, for example. Which products are the cash cows? Which products are redundant? Even when you get immersed in the business, the HR can be telling business that let's shut down products 18 and 19 because we are making a loss. Are we together? You must understand revenue drivers. You must understand cost structures. You must also understand risk. Very important. And that's why I challenge us, colleagues, highly esteemed colleagues, in 2026, for all of us on this call who sit in management meeting, please don't just go to your management meeting and all you do is wait for your turn to present. No matter who is presenting, and I don't mean this in a combative manner, ask questions from everybody. Provide suggestions, provide solutions to anybody making presentations. Are we together? That shows you are understanding what the business. Don't be afraid that when you ask question, when it's now your turn, they will ask you question back. Don't be afraid. You have what it takes. How do we design workforce responses? So it's very important. So your business may, for example, be planning to expand, maybe open more branches, expand to new geographies, territories, or countries. What's HR plan? What must we put in place? What kind of structure? What kind of leadership? What pipeline must we have? Okay. Now, I also said, let me share this very quickly, that sometimes in organizations, we have very good strategies, but good strategy is not sufficient. A good strategy can fail. Okay. Maybe the strategy is just announced, it's not really operationalized. Maybe leaders are not capability ready. In other words, for organizations that run their calendar on the Gregorian calendar, that's January to December, look at the board approved goals for 2026, targets. Even your leadership team, are they ready? Do they have the competence? Do they have the capability? Don't wait till October, November to start sending people on training. Q1, use it so that the training will solve the business needs and the results and returns on investment can begin to manifest in this 2026. Again, cascade the strategy, cascade the goals. Don't just say management has said. Management is not dictatorial or autocratic. Even if they are, there is an understanding, there is a reasoning behind what management is saying. Get the understanding, then cascade and communicate the understanding so that your employees, our field workers, can run with understanding. One of the important things HR does is to break technical, economic, strategic things into understanding so that employees can run irrespective of their cadre or their level of education. We must make sure that learning is aligned towards performance. So therefore, we move towards ADDIE model, and ADDIE is an acronym for analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Many of us are familiar with this framework. And some of us use this framework in L&D, learning and development. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage us, use ADDIE for every HR intervention. Anything you are doing in HR, including thank God it's Friday, use ADDIE, analyze. What do we mean by analysis? You know, some of us, once we hear analysis, we just blank out. This is 2026. All things have passed away. Analysis just simply means, what business problem are we solving? Oh, what's the rationale? What's the justification? Then you move to design. What skills, what behaviors, what knowledge are required? So skills is what? Capability, what you can do. Behavior is what? Attitude. Knowledge is what you need to know. So don't be like Osimhen. You have the skill, you can score, but you have the behavior. When they don't pass to you, you throw tantrums. And then your country wins 4-0 and the headline is your tantrum. That's behavior. It can be disruptive. Knowledge, what do you need to know? Apart from training, ask the Gen Zs in your office. They have something they can teach you. Then from design, we move to development. Create learning interventions. Please, Just like we have this monthly KSS in Ikeja chapter, in your office, in your department, even if it is once a month or once a quarter, you to do KSS. Every team member knows something they can teach all the other team members. Create learning interventions, please. Then implementation, roll out at scale with leadership support. Sometimes when you are doing implementation, depending on the project, first of all, do what we call a pilot or a small scale. You can do it, test it in one branch or with 50 people or 20 people. It's not every time you do something and you roll it to 5,000 people. So that when you do that pilot, there will be feedback and lessons. By the time you are scaling, you will have better results. And of course, we have to evaluate. You want to measure the impact on performance and on outcomes. Please, in 2026, don't do anything you're not going to evaluate. I don't care whether it's Thank God this Friday, evaluate it. If you do International Women's Day, evaluate it. You do Jersey Friday, evaluate it. Bring your child to work day, evaluate it. Please, evaluate, and evaluate. Because when you evaluate, you will get more value for your Naira and you will see what you can do differently. You know, one of the things I learned from the medical world, if, for example, a patient dies, they do a session on it. You have to present, why did the patient die? What led to the death of the patient? The interest here is not so that I want to pin the death of the patient on a worker or a doctor. We want to see what can we learn so that if possible, no other person will die. Or we can administer care to any other subsequent patient. Also, for every project you do, even when you succeed, I repeat, even when you succeed, what are the lessons learned? Also, when the project fails or is suboptimal, what are the lessons learned? Please document lessons learned from both successful projects and also bad projects. I was telling some people very recently, I said, just like we place people who are performing poorly on PIP, this year, do something for the exceptional performance. So we do something special for poor performance. We call it PIP, the exceptional performance. Maybe you put them in high potential or something. Do something, okay, so that you are not resourcing only weakness, you are resourcing strength. All right. So maybe you're in the retail sector, you want to make sure that your customer experience training is tied to revenue. If you're in manufacturing, you want to ensure that safety training is linked to downtown reduction. If you're in banking, you want to ensure that compliance training is reducing regulatory risk. In tech, agile training is improving speed to market, and so on and so forth. So all of these approaches, they connect. PEST tool helps us to understand external forces. SWOT helps us to also understand internal and external, but much more importantly, help us to diagnose internal readiness. The HRBP model helps us to align people's strategy to the business goals, and then helps us to build and sustain a required capability. So HR becomes a driver of organizational resilience, growth, and competitiveness. I hope you are still with me, people. Ladies and gentlemen, at this section, I have another quick question for us, and I'd like to see our answers in the chat box. Okay, what is the biggest barrier to HR business alignment, in your opinion, out of the 4 options? In case you also have any other option not listed in my options, you can type that out. Is it limited access to strategy discussions? Is it skill gap within HR? Is it leadership resistance? Is it data limitations? Okay, I know somebody will say, no, my own is a combination. So you can put A and B, B and C, C and D, as the case may be. I'm checking our responses. Thank you, everyone who have shared one thought or the other. I'll quickly go through some of them. Yeah. Thank you so much. If you are not reading the chat comment box, you are missing. Please, if you are not driving, make sure you are reading the comment box. I can see very useful. Yes, I'll come back to them. I'll come back to them. Somebody is saying that, can I talk about HR alignment on construction sector? You know, it's not easy to speak to all the sectors in one session. I just have to pick the mainstream sector, but you know that the construction sector, for example, also have seasons. There's rainy season, there's dry season. So how do you plan your workforce that, for example, during the rainy season, you get the dry season, you get a lot done. Then there's fluctuation, for example, cement, iron, all your raw materials. You need to work with your procurement and so on and so forth. Okay, I just said let me say one or two things since I already saw your question. All right, so let's begin to wrap up to the conversation now. So I'm going to end this conversation on both corporate and private notes. So anything I'm saying now, you can apply it to your business, to your organization, and you can apply it to yourself. It doesn't matter whether you are an HR employee or you are an HR employer. You know, you are a consultant, you run your own consulting firm. Or some of us that we are hybrid, we work as employees, we also run HR side also. I'm conscious of the fact that this is January. All right, so this is an additional gift to you from CIPM Ikeja chapter. So goal alignment is very key. All right, now please, if you can, look at your screen right now, if you can. Now you will see here, we have 4 goals. Goal 1, goal 3, goal 2, goal 4. Now, when you have multiple goals like this, you must be able to prioritize. From this figure that you are looking at, you will see that goal 3 has impact on goal 1. Goal 3 has impact on goal 2. Goal 3 has impact on goal 4. Meanwhile, goal 1 has impact only on goal 2. Goal 4 has impact only on goal 2. I want to ask a question. Of these 4 goals, which is the most important goal? Just type it. So you can type goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, or goal 4. You know, based on the chart and the narration, small commentary. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see our feedback and I love it. Thank you so much. In the interest of time, we'll move on. The most important goal is goal 3, and I will explain. Goal 3 feeds goal 1. Goal 3 feeds goal 2. Goal 3 feeds goal 4. That means goal 3 is the driving goal. All right. Goal 2 is a recipient goal by and large. Why? It's receiving from goal 1, from goal 3, and goal 4. So which means which goals should you pursue first, or should you allocate the most important resources to? Is goal 3. Because once you do goal 3, 1 will show up, 2 will show up, and 4 will show up. You know, alignment is very key. All right. It's one thing to understand the business climate. It's one thing to understand, to be able to come up with plans, HR strategies and plans. But you must not align the plan. Your sequencing. What should you do first? What should you do next? This is Q1. This is day 5 of January. There are some things. Rush it in this January so that the rest of the year will be bountiful. And this applies to both career and personal goals, both for your organization and for your what? Family. Still talking about goals, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this chart again. This is another good time to look at the chart. You will see here at the upper echelon, you have what we call goals. Now, at the base of the screen, there are 2 items. To my left, we have what we call barriers. To my right, we have what we call critical success factors. It doesn't matter whether it is your business goals, okay, your corporate goals, okay, or your personal goals. There are going to be barriers that want to mitigate against you. But there will also be what? Critical success factors. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't be fixated on the barriers and don't take cognizance of the critical success factors. So as you list out the barriers, also list out the critical success factors. When you list out the critical success factors, you will see that on the average, for every barrier you have, there will be a corresponding critical success factor or multiple combination of critical success factor that will override the barriers. Or if there is none, you may now need to create mitigating actions. But please, as HR, your job is to ensure we have enough critical success factors that will cushion the impact or effect of any barrier. Barrier can be anything. Inadequate work tools can be barrier. Barrier can be inadequate manpower. Barrier can be cash flow. Okay. Barrier can be inadequate knowledge, and so on and so forth. So for every barrier, come up with the critical success factors. Otherwise, the goals will not be achieved. I hope we find that useful. This one, I know we are very familiar with it, but I said let's use it because I'm talking about goal alignment. Look at this. This is the balance scorecard. You can see financials, customer, people, and then processes. Very important. Everything is intertwined, but right at the center is the vision and the strategy. Now, around it, I'm the one putting this now, is what the business climate. Just assume everywhere that you see is white is the what? Business climate. So, in the organization, what's our vision? What's our vision? Then we cascade it to corporate goals and objectives, cascade it through the organization, we break it down to objectives, to the teams and individuals. But don't forget, okay, are we trying to raise more revenue? Very important. Are we trying to optimize costs? Are we working on improving quality, customer focus, people development, and so on and so forth? Okay, maybe top down or bottom up, depending on the reality and the context. However, don't forget the business climate again. So your business climate will affect your vision and mission, or may modify. Your vision and mission may remain the same, but the business climate will affect your goals and objectives, or the modus operandi, the implementation, the strategies to try to achieve this. I'm wrapping up now, ladies and gentlemen. You have corporate goals. You have employee goals. The intersection of corporate goals and employee goals leads to what? Productivity. So as we are thinking about the business climate, don't also forget about the employee climate, the organizational climate. Both the organization and the employees live in the society. So if you can, encourage your staff. What are your employee goals? How can you align your personal goals to the corporate goals? Because when people can see that when they are achieving corporate goals, they are also achieving employee or personal goals, they are more self-motivated to go for it. You won't need to beg them if they need to stay extra hours sometimes, or if they need to get home and then later, much later, they go back to their work. Why? As they're achieving the corporate goals, they're achieving the what? Employee goals. Last thing I would like to add, especially for our employee, one of the things I've learned is when you talk about the corporate interest, talk about the employee interest, even if that's not the subject matter. Because you need employee interest to achieve what? Corporate interest. So for you as HR director, practitioner, professional, ladies and gentlemen, please, your personal goals for 2026. At the minimum, you must have physical goals. Have goals around rest. Some of us, especially those of us in Lagos, we don't rest enough. I know somebody is saying, hope you are not talking to yourself. Some of us don't rest enough. Some of us need to have nutrition goals. They used to teach us balanced diets in primary school. Most of us are over 50, 40, 60. We need nutrition, supplements, then exercise. That's why I like Ikeja chapter. We do it annually. We say walk, but walk every day as much as possible. Avoid sedentary lifestyle. Then have mental goals, reading, reflection, problem solving. Webinars like we are doing now, it helps your mental capability. I used to have a boss. She listens to one podcast every day. I mean, intellectual podcast every day. When does she listen to it? When she's driving to work. You see how she converted hold up time to mental gym time. You must also have social and emotional goals, empathy, gratitude, mentoring. Don't wait for the news to give you good news, so you may not get. Last but not the least, spiritual goals. It helps us with purpose alignment, helps us with value reflections, and so on and so forth. So, modern HR leaders must think like business executive, because we are business executive. let me say this for the benefit of 2-3 people here. HR people are not people that like people. HR people are people that like productivity. Say, oh, why do you want to work in HR? "Oh, I'm a people person." No, I am a productivity person. Yes. Speak the language of risk, growth, and value, leverage data and insights. Design for uncertainty, not stability. In other words, design and prepare for worst case scenario and best case scenario, not just normal scenario. So prepare for normal scenario, prepare for best case scenario, prepare for what? Worst case scenario. Ladies and gentlemen, at this intersection, I'll quickly go to the chat box and then invite our moderator to come over so that we can take questions, well, preferably to comments, contributions. I know if a number of us have input we want to share, that will benefit all of us on this call. All right. Okay. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Very much. I want to see the emoji flying. Appreciating Dr. Odeyemi Adeosun for a wonderful section that he has taken his time to share with us on how to align our personal goals to business goals. Very importantly, he has addressed so many things. And I know that you have a lot of questions. There are questions that have come even before now, and there are questions that were also stipulated in the chat box. So I'm going to be sharing some of these as fast as possible because we have very limited time to do the question and answer session. Thank you very much, Dr. Adeosun, once again. Helping us as HR to align our strategy with organizational planning in this evolving business climate. There is a question in the chat box that I would like you to elaborate on.
Sorry,
First question.
can I quickly take 1 minute before you move into the question segment?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Adeosun. You have done very well. So I don't want to take that part from Dele. We'll do that. I just need to quickly, as part of the culture of CIPM, to appreciate some of representatives from the national and the branch that I'm called today. We're honored to have I said earlier, our ECM, that is Fellow Adeyemi Ajayi. He was one that took the code of conduct from the national. I appreciate his presence. We also have the branch chairman in our midst too today, Fellow Adenike. Thank you so much for joining us. We have other from the branch. We have Bola Onime, one of the executives from the branch too, in our presence. And I must not forget the president of Cooperative Society. These are chapter members, so let me not deprive of that, Dr. Funke Megu. And then we have Ms. Lola Taiwo also from the branch. I just thought it's very important that we appreciate them as a part of the culture. We have a whole lot of our fellow in the house. We have fellow Ifeoma Adeniyi in the house. We have some of our past presidents. We have Elvis Obaseki. The past branch chairman, Emmanuel Anibata, has been struggling to join the club. Unfortunately, he was not able to join. We have, I think we have a whole lot of our past. We have our fellow, recent fellows in the house. But I just thought to mention for the national representative, executive at the national level and the branch level. So before the end of the session, probably will come on in. Thank you so much for joining us. Daily over to, in case they are not able to stay till the end of the call, it's important we appreciate their presence. Thank you. Daily over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Okay, again, just to continue from where I stopped, at a given point in time, Dr. Adeosun, I must confess to you, this happens to be one of the sections that we have a lot of members joining into our HR clinic. At a point we had almost 250 people in-house. And it came hot, I must confess, because your deliverables were just direct and they were eating me. But before I throw my own questions, I want to read some of the questions that were thrown on the platform and the ones that were sent in even before your conversation. HR is to manage change, particularly to cost reduction. Does multi-skill means downsizing or merging departments? That's a critical question, especially at a time like this in the business climate we have. Can you please throw more light to that?
Okay, thank you for that question. So let me start by saying that it is a possibility that multi-skilling can end up in downsizing, but that is not the only possibility. That's not the only possible outcome. And in fact, that should not be the first outcome. So I typically tell people that anytime there is a vacancy in the organization, in recent times, I try not to fill it. What do I mean by I try not to fill it? I check people internally. Whose role can we expand? Or when we say which roles can we expand, you may need to expand 2-3 people's roles, and that vacancy, you cannibalize the work and you assign portions of it to other people. But you can only apportion portion of that role to other people if you have built their capability to do the job. Are we together? So think about, there's what we call succession plan. We all know it. You are trying to prepare everybody for the job of the person above them, one way or the other. You are also thinking about building capabilities. And let me tell you this very quickly. There's something we call leave management. Yes, leave management, the purpose is for recuperation, people to be rejuvenated and relaxed. But that's just one side. One of the beautiful things about leave is it provides opportunity for other team members who are relievers to pick up skills to do other jobs. This is one of the reasons why I love maternity, because 3 or 4 months is a long time to be able to understand the job. So look for ways to, the days of silo thinking are long gone. Yes, somebody can be a specialist in something, but because you're a specialist, it doesn't mean you should not pick up certain skills along the line. So today, a department that is 5, if one person leaves, you may not necessarily replace that person. Or the company may be expanding. You are creating new subsidiaries. So instead of hiring 50 new people, maybe you hire 30, and then some of the people on ground will take up these roles. Please, as you are giving them additional roles, increase their salary. I'm not saying just be loading people with work and there's no corresponding remuneration for it. But in extreme cases, it may lead to merger of departments. In extreme cases, but not in all cases, please. And don't pitch to management or to employees. If you pitch to management may like it. Employees won't like it. You get. So that will be my response. Thank you for that beautiful question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adeosun. I will quickly take another, and if time permits, maybe one more. The next one says, what practical tips can you give an HR BP, an HR business partner who is relatively young, to earn the right to be at the table? This person is zealous. This person is talented. He knows his onions. But what in specific practical tips can you give such an individual, especially in this kind of business climate that we have?
Thank you so much. The first thing I would like to say, you won't like to hear it, but I will say it. The first point I have for you is that you need to be patient. when I say patience, you may not get a seat at the table as fast as you want. If you are not patient, once you think you should be at the table and you don't get it, you may now begin to show bad attitude or behavior. Or you may now want to just prematurely jump ship and you begin to look out for jobs outside. So please be patient. 2, continue to develop your capabilities. Capabilities in terms of knowledge in terms of technical HR knowledge, 1. 2, business knowledge, organizational knowledge. 3, industry knowledge, sectoral knowledge. If you want to add the 4th one, business climate knowledge. Next thing, in every opportunity that you have to interface, either in writing or in meetings or one-on-one, please contribute meaningfully. Express your thoughts. Please, as you are doing it, don't try and show off that now only you sabi o. Don't try and make other people look stupid. Please. Sell your market without being condescending or disrespectful. All right. Last but not the least, identify 1, 2, or 3 potential sponsors in the organization. Now, when I say you should identify a sponsor, don't go and meet the sponsor and say, sponsor me. That's not the approach. Don't say, sponsor, come and sponsor me. So let me use this example. So if I have identified Mr. Oladele Ogunyale as a potential sponsor, when I go and meet him, I will say, Ogadele, please, I have a free, like 2-3 free hours this weekend. Is there any assignment I can help you do? By the time I ask him questions like that, is there anything you are working on that I can support you in? Note, by the time I help Mr. Oladele Ogunyale, between 6 months to 1 year, I bet one day, Mr. Ogunyale, there will be an opportunity. Say, Oluyemi, there's this project or there's this role in the subsidiary. I would like to nominate you. It will work faster than me going to say, Mr. Oladele Ogunyale, please nominate me. Please be my sponsor. Just look for 1-2 people and see how you can render support and service to them. By default, when opportunity for upliftment comes, they will be your sponsor. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Time will not permit us to take so much questions. There are a lot of questions running deeply around us. But again, I'd like you to give a parting word. From one of the questions I noted from the participants, a lot of time we mix processes and strategies together. Can you differentiate it in one word? The difference between strategy and processes. And then we'll close.
So generally speaking, a strategy is the high level how to move from point A to point B. High level. Let me use examples very quickly so that we get this. For example, if you are in business, your strategy can be you want to do cost leadership. What is cost leadership? You want to be like the cheapest in the market. That's a kind of business strategy. Your strategy can also be you want to be premium. For example, maybe you are doing like iPhone. So if you are doing premium like iPhone, you know you are not trying to be the cheapest in the market. Those are 2 different business models or strategies.
Yeah.
Now, if you choose to be iPhone, which is premium, you will have processes to achieve it. If you also choose to use cost leadership, you want to focus on the bottom of the pyramid, you want to be cheap, you will need processes to achieve it. So processes are now the routine things that you do day to day to achieve the strategy. Strategy is high level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's explicit, and it's the bottom rock of all that we have discussed today. Having heard from our facilitator, Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun. With the permission of the chairman, I would like to call on very amiable individual among us, the past chairman, one of the past chairman of the Ikeja chapter. Secretary, please can you display the certificates of appreciation for Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun as I call on Mrs. Olamide to please make the presentation to Dr. Adeosun immediately. Please, Mrs. Olamide Olabiran. Are you there? MCIPM, Mrs. Olamide Olabiran, past chairman, Ikeja chapter, CIPM. Are you there, ma'am? Oh, okay.
Perhaps she's having connectivity issue. I don't want to drag her.
So
I don't want to drag her.
In her absence, can we
Should
have?
we drag it?
Okay, it could be that she's struggling. You know, she should raise up her hand, or someone needs to unmute her. Remember, we muted everyone. That could be. So let me search for her. If she's on the call and mute.
Okay. Can you reach out
So
to her?
we can try search for her. Otherwise,
she's not on the call.
She's not on the call. So
she's not on the call.
She's not on the call.
Okay. Okay, she's here. She's here.
She's here.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
How
network.
about her to mute? So.
Okay.
Mrs.
Yes.
Olabiran,
Yes.
you have the
Thank
floor.
you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I needed to be unmuted, but I couldn't be heard. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this certificate to a very wonderful personality. The session was highly engaging, highly insightful, very, very rewarding, and shows that Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun always delivers above and beyond the call of duty. Thank you very much, my former ECM. Like I say, my ECM, sir. Thank you. This certificate of, I would like to deliver this certificate to you, present this certificate to you on behalf of the chairman and EXCO and the members of Ikeja chapter. Although you are all very revered member also, as you mentioned, Dr. Adeyemi is a member of Ikeja chapter and a very, very wonderful one at that. Very revered, very respected one. Thank you, Dr. Adeosun, for your very, very engaging presentation. On behalf of Ikeja chapter, I would like to present this certificate of appreciation to you. This is hereby awarded to Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun in recognition of his invaluable contribution as a facilitator at the January 2026 HR Clinic and General Meeting titled Aligning Human Resources Strategies and Organizational Planning with Evolving Business Climate. Thank you, Dr. Adeosun, for your very wonderful presentation. Here is the certificate. Thank you, sir.
Very much,
thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Dr. Adeyemi Adeosun. Thank you so much. You promised and you kept your promise.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, my chairman, over to you. I think I want to.
Okay, thank you, Dele Otunyali, head of committee, for a job well done. This seems like your last job on this committee. So it's like a little farewell. The next time we'll be having our general meeting. So we hope to see you on other committees. Thank you so much, Oladele.